Yeah. When I get the sheet, though.
I'm serious.
Great. I don't know how long it's gonna last. Very coming.
All right, guys, we'll call our public hearing to order at 6 p.m., May 21st, 2026. We do have a quorum present, so we can move into the agenda. Tonight we have commission members Kyle Ralston, Jaden Iverson, myself, Brett Renitz, Bob Fusen, Stephen Dye present. I believe Cody Hallin is attending via Teams. Cody, could you confirm that you're on? Okay,
Yes, sorry, I'm on.
okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Cody. Yep, we got you.
Okay.
Okay, and we also have Jeff Sprout, his attorney, appearing via Teams, I believe. Mr. Sprout, could you confirm that you're on?
That's correct, I'm on.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is a hearing to be completed pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 40-15-07 for the appointed office of Chief of Police and its appointed officer, Cody Hallin. I'll apologize to you guys right off the rip. There is a whole lot to go over, a lot of policy, procedural type things. I want to make sure we don't miss anything. So if it feels like I'm reading off of something to keep us in line and going through this, it's because I absolutely am. So we'll set some ground rules for tonight. All right, so ground rules for the hearing. This matter is a public hearing, so it's open for observation by the public, but is not a free-for-all. Given the nature and purpose of the hearing in this instance, each party will have an opportunity to be heard and present any evidence and testimony relevant to these matters to the hearing. Excuse me. As stated in the hearing notice, the city and the respondent, Chief Hallin, may offer or present any evidence or discussion which has bearing on the preferred charges or allegations before the commission. There is not a section for public comment in the hearing, and that would not be appropriate in this setting, unless those members of the public have personal knowledge and facts and circumstances related specifically to the issues before the commission board. The hearing will be conducted in an orderly and civil manner. Outbursts from the crowd will not be permitted. Please remain quiet during the proceedings so both parties and all of their evidence may be fully heard, fairly and fully considered. Depending on the length of the hearing and the course of the hearing, I may allow for one or more recesses at my discretion or at the request of all of our participants. Okay, so I'll kind of explain a little bit of the background and process to the board here, Mr. Hallin and Mr. Sprout. So Commissioner Iverson set forth a series of preferred charges on the record at the May 14th, 2026 special commission meeting. On a motion and a second, the preferred charges were approved by the commission. Cody was suspended from office with pay during the period leading up to the hearing. And a hearing was set for today's date and time, May 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m. in accordance with the terms of North Dakota Century Code 40-15-07. A hearing notice was prepared and Cody was served a copy of the same on Monday, May 18th, 2026, by personally delivering a copy of the same to his residence and sending the same to his work and personal email address on file with the city. I would like those notices and attachments put into the record. Mr. Sprout, I just want to confirm that Cody shared the hearing notice and included the preferred charges with him.
He did receive those and I have them too, and we have no objection to them going into the record.
Okay. All right, so the purpose of the hearing is for the commission to hear facts and take evidence relating to the charges set forth in the notice. The city and then Cody or his counsel may decide to make brief opening remarks prior to taking of testimony and or the offering of other evidence. The city will make its first opening remarks and Cody second. The commission members may offer evidence in the form of records, documents, or witness testimony, and Cody, with the assistance of his attorney, Mr. Sprout, may offer evidence in the form of records, documents, or witness testimony. The city will present its case first. Cody will go next, and if appropriate, the city may offer rebuttal evidence. Hey guys, participants on the Teams call, could you please try to keep your mics on mute? Okay, so after the presentation of all the evidence from the city and Cody, the commission will hear any thoughts, discussion, or arguments can be offered by commission members, and any thoughts or discussion and arguments offered by Cody relating to the evidence. After the conclusion of fact presentation and discussion and arguments from all relevant parties, the commission will proceed to discussing what findings should be made with regard to each charge. The city attorney may be called upon to help guide the process of the hearing as it unfolds. After you explain this process, I feel everybody should understand. Okay, I want to make sure that you guys are ready to proceed. Yes. Good. Okay, Chief Hallin, Mr. Sprout, are you ready to proceed?
We are.
Okay, Mr. Sprout, I'm aware that you've been in correspondence with Attorney Penley, our city attorney.
That's correct.
All right, sounds like everyone's ready, so I will read aloud the preferred charges into the record. And these are all in legal form. All right, so the preferred charges are the Tioga City Commission hereby issue the following preferred charges against Cody Hallin, Tioga Police Chief, in connection with North Dakota Century Code 40-15-07, and assert that a removal hearing is appropriate and necessary in light of the preferred charges so issued. Section A, Tioga City Chief of Police Cody Hallin is alleged to have committed a violation or violations of Chapter 1, Article 5, subsection 1.0504, which is described as general duties of other appointed officers of the city or Tioga City ordinances, to wit. That in, near, or during the week of May 11th, 2026, without communication to the police commissioner, the commission president, or any other supervising commissioner or member of the commission body, Chief of Police Hallin, while scheduled to be on shift, did not appear and work his shifts. This unauthorized absenteeism has been repeat in nature of late and specifically occurred on May 11th, which was Monday, the 12th, Tuesday, the 13th, Wednesday, and 14th, Thursday of 2026. That during that same period, on information and belief and without communication to nor permission from the police commissioner or commission president, Chief of Police Hallin functionally abandoned his post at the Tioga City Police Department. Subsection 3, that both Police Commissioner Bob Fusen and or City Auditor Wendy Lenzen have attempted to establish contact with Chief Hallin in the days leading up to this meeting as a result of that absenteeism. Such recent attempts to contact Chief Hallin have been to no avail. Contact with Chief Hallin's mother or a person representing to be his mother was briefly established. As of the date and time of this meeting, no member of the commission or other supervisory staff in the city has been advised by Chief Hallin of the prevalence or precise reasons or basis for his absence and functional abandonment of office. There is no clear plan as to whom and how the responsibilities of Chief Hallin will be handled in his absence. There is no information allowing the commission to understand the anticipated length of his present absence. Subsection 4, taken together, all of these realities leave the Tioga Police Department functionally without their appointed official. This situation interrupts the existence of a clear chain of command for the police force, and the chief's absenteeism leaves the department short-staffed without any reliable knowledge or information as to when and how those impairments may be repaired or corrected. It is unacceptable that there has been a total lack of communication from Chief Hallin regarding his unexplained and serial absences from appointed office, especially given that the Tioga Police Department provides emergency services to the community, oversees security and safety policies for the city, And given that the chief of police is charged with law enforcement activities on behalf of the city of Tioga in general and consistent with local ordinances. Section B, Tioga City Chief of Police Cody Hallin is alleged to have committed a violation or violations of Chapter 1, Article 5, subsection 1.0604, which is described as administrative policy and procedure of the city of Tioga ordinances, to wit, that during the period of unexplained absenteeism described immediately above, Chief Hallin did fail to meet the requirements of Chapter 1, Article 5, subsection 1.0604, which reads verbatim as follows. Number 1, perform all duties required of his office by law or ordinance and such other duties not in conflict as may required by the governing body. 2, be immediately responsible to the governing body for the effective administration of their departments and all activities assigned thereto. 3, keep informed as to the latest practices in their particular field and shall inaugurate with approval of the governing body as such new practices as appear to be of benefit to the service and to the public. Number 4, submit reports of activities of his department as the governing board may request. Be responsible for the proper maintenance of all city property and equipment used in his department. Number 5, establish and maintain records of sufficient detail to furnish all information needed for proper control of department activities and to form a basis for reports to the governing body. Number 6, cooperate with other officers, departments, and employees. Number 7, have power to direct and supervise all subordinates under him. Specifically, Chief Hallin's unexplained, unnoticed, and uncommunicated absence effectively renders him incapable of performing any of the duties above and leaves his department rudderless and without sufficient leadership and an interim plan allowing for such leadership to ensure compliance with these duties during his period of absence, whatever that may be. Therefore, Chief Hallin is derelict in his duties of office under the Tioga City ordinances. Moreover, a review of video footage and time carding materials has revealed that during the period of absenteeism described immediately above, Chief Hallin clocked into work using the city's payroll program. However, Chief Hallin never actually appeared at work as represented on his time card. Due to the fact that Chief Hallin failed to enter his clock out time on the date and was therefore reached by a member of the city to ascertain whether he was still at work, a brief inquiry ensued. Chief Hallin's wholesale absence from work was confirmed. Accordingly, Chief Hallin on at least one occasion was not only inexplicably absent, but was also billing the city for time in office for which he was certainly not serving the city. This is likewise unacceptable, violates the trust and duties Chief Hallin has to the city, and constitutes another basis for removal when taken together with the other standing charges above. All right, so on a motion and a second, and with the majority of vote, the above stated preferred charges were approved for a removal hearing under North Dakota Century Code 40-1507 and are ordered to be entered into record of the special meeting held on May 14th, 2026 at 6 p.m. and marked as Exhibit A. As you guys know, the removal hearing was scheduled in accordance with North Dakota Century Code 40-15-07. Right. Liz, are you on?
I am, yes. Let me turn on my camera. Can you all hear me okay?
Okay. Okay, so we are on to the point for the city to be calling witnesses. I don't know if you're going to handle that.
I will be handling some of them, but I did convey to Mr. Sprout that we would allow for brief opening remarks. And so if he has opening remarks he would like to make, he sure can. I don't want to create a strange sir rebuttal situation, so I'll give very brief opening remarks. The intention of opening remarks in a hearing is merely to advise the hearing tribunal and any observers of what either party intends to offer and what they think the principal issues are. The preferred charges, which our commission president has just read, I think state what the issues are in general. They discuss matters of duty, absenteeism, a lack of communication to overcome the absenteeism, and some allegations regarding dishonesty, both with regard to what was represented as working time, the billing of it, the time carding of it, and the creation of documents that would reflect that. So I think that Brett, our commission president, has correctly stated the major substantive issues. I will let you all know, and then I will pass to Mr. Sprout, that my intention this evening is to call, probably in this order, Wendy Lenzen. She is the city auditor for the city of Tioga. We will call Darcy Groschi. She is a member of the Tioga Police Department. We will call Nick Oster. He is also a member of the Tioga Police Department. Corey Hallisey, also a member of the Tioga Police Department. Bob Fusen, he is the police commissioner. And then I will ask for testimony from Mr. Renitz for his part. And that's all I have to share at this time for the purposes of opening statements, and would pass to Mr. Sprout if he wishes to make one.
Thank you. May it please the commission, my name is Jeff Sprout and I represent Chief Cody Hallin. Today, the city must prove by competent and credible evidence that Chief Hallin should be removed for cause under NDCC 4015-07. The statute is clear. No officer or employee shall be removed except for cause unless charges are preferred against the person and the person is accorded an opportunity to be heard. Tonight is Chief Hallin's opportunity to be heard. The record will show that Chief Hallin was in continuous communication with city staff, notified the police commissioner of a medical crisis, and submitted medical paperwork. At this hearing, we will show three things plain and simply. The city cannot meet its burden of no communication and abandonment allegations. The city received medical certifications before the special meeting, and the city's leave and time card arguments are inconsistent with the employee handbook and longstanding practice for the chief's position. All we ask is that you evaluate the evidence against the statutory standard. Removal only for cause, after charges, and a fair hearing. At the close of the city's case, you will see that there is no lawful basis to remove Chief Hallin, and we respectfully ask the commission to dismiss the charges against him and reinstate him. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh.
I guess we are moving on to calling witnesses.
Thank you. The city calls Wendy Lenzen, please.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Okay, Wendy, do you swear or affirm that the facts and statements you will provide to the commission are true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief under pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay, Miss Lenzen?
I can.
Okay, first of all, can you tell me your first and last name and your position with the city?
Wendy Lenzen. I'm the auditor for the city of Tioga.
And how long have you been the auditor for the city of Tioga?
Since April of 2025.
Okay. Miss Lenzen, do you know Cody Hallin?
I do.
How do you know Cody Hallin?
When I first started, he was a patrol officer for the city of Tioga Police Department, and most recently chief of police for the city of Tioga.
Do you recall when he was appointed as chief of police for the city of Tioga?
November, I think, of 2025.
Okay, November of 2025 was his appointment as chief of police, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Lenzen, as part of your duties, do you maintain and share with employees an employee handbook?
I do.
And have you shared that handbook for record with the commission as a proposed exhibit this evening?
I have.
And have you shared that with Mr. Sprout as well?
I have.
Okay, are you familiar with the policies in that handbook?
I believe so.
Okay, and the copy of the handbook you distributed to all of the parties I've just named, that's a true and correct copy of the handbook that would have been controlling it while Mr. Hallin is serving as chief of police, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay, we move to admit that into the hearing record, Mr. President.
Okay, I would like that to be entered into the record.
Wendy, also part of your duties are to maintain and where feasible distribute official job descriptions for various positions within the city. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you produce the position description for the chief of police of the city of Tioga and distribute the same to the commission board, Mr. Sprout and myself?
I did.
And what you distributed is a true and correct copy of that position description?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I move to admit the city of Tioga position description for the chief of police.
Okay, I would like the city of Tioga position description entered into the record.
Okay, very good. I would like to turn to the substance of events that occurred in or near or started in or near May 11th of 2026, Ms. Lenzen. Can you tell us what, if at all, occurred in relation to any communications you had or attempted to have with Cody Hallin in or near May 11th of 2026, Monday, May 11th?
The only communication I had with him on Monday, May 11th was I sent an email to him that afternoon around 3:45, just sharing with him missing information that was needed in order for us to process payroll and items that he needed to complete.
Okay, is that one of your routine duties to follow up with department supervisors regarding payroll processing and errors and payroll completion?
It is, yeah.
Okay, what, if any, response did you receive to your May 11th email, afternoon email to Mr. Hallin regarding those routine payroll matters?
I didn't get a response to that email.
When did you next speak with Chief Hallin? On what date and at approximately what time?
Yeah, it would have been Tuesday morning, approximately 8:45, 9 o'clock.
Okay, how did that contact occur? Tell us what happened and when.
Well, I had sent him that email on Monday afternoon, knowing that he wasn't working the day shift because he was scheduled to work the overnight shift from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so I just assumed he would get the email once he got to work and then go from there. When I got to work on Tuesday morning, I discovered that the corrections to the timesheets and approvals had not been completed. And also noted that Chief Hallin was still punched in for that shift.
Okay, when you say he was punched in, tell us what you mean. When had he punched in and what do you mean he was still punched in? Give us some background there.
Yeah, he had punched in at 8:18 p.m. on the evening of Monday, the 11th, and was still punched in that morning when I got to work and was reviewing timesheets.
Okay, so when people punch in for the city of Tioga, do they like punch a ticket in a physical location? Do they log in online? How does that work?
Yeah, we have an electronic timekeeping system now, and so they're able to punch in electronically. They can punch in from their mobile phone, they can punch in from a laptop or from a desktop computer at any of our departments.
Okay, so it was a remote clock in that occurred on the evening of Monday, May 11th at 8:11, I think, or 8:18, I think you said. Is that right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and he was still logged in more than 12 hours later when you arrived at the office.
That's right.
So what did you do?
Well, I first, because he was punched in, so I first called over to the police department and spoke to Darcy, and asked her if, Cody was still working and if he was available. And she stated that she had no idea if he was working or not. And she didn't have any way of knowing whether he was out on patrol or when he was coming in. And so I told her that I would just try to reach him by cell phone.
Did you attempt to reach him by phone?
Yeah, I did. I called Cody at 8:53 a.m. and he didn't answer, but he did return my call at 9:16 that morning.
Okay, and what was said during the call at 9:16 on the morning of Tuesday, May 12th?
I asked him if he was still in town or in Tioga, and he said no, that he was at home. And I apologized to him if I woke him up and told him that I was just touching base because he was still punched in, and that's why I assumed he was still on duty. He said that he forgot to punch out and that he left work at about 4 a.m. and asked if I could make that correction for him. And I
Did you-
said,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I did make the correction. I said, sure, I would do that for him. And then I asked him if he saw the email that I had sent him the day before regarding the corrections for payroll and that we needed to process payroll on Tuesday. Typically, we do it on Mondays, but we were delayed a day waiting for these corrections. And he said that he was working on it, he forgot about it, and he would get it completed. I asked him if he needed any help, and he said he thinks he's got it, but his laptop was dead, so he'd have to let it charge for about 15 minutes before he could boot it up and start making the corrections.
Okay, after you had that call on the morning of May 12th, was it your understanding that Cody had been at work on the evening of May 11th?
Yes,
Did he ever represent to you that he was not on duty over the night shift on the evening of May 11th into the morning of May 12th?
no,
And in fact, he represented to you that he'd clocked on at approximately 8:18 and he'd forgotten to clock off, I think you said, at about 4 a.m. per the call, right?
correct.
Did those facts or representations from Mr. Hallin, did they ever come into question?
Yeah, they did later. I mean, I thought that it was odd that, he worked the entire night shift but didn't see his email or didn't address those items that needed to be corrected, but it wasn't until later that I kind of thought about it a little more.
Okay, tell us what happened later and what inquiries or information you discovered and when. Just kind of tell us what happened, Miss Linzen.
Well, when I got to work on Wednesday, the 13th, then I was notified that Cody wasn't able to work the previous night shift either. And so as that kind of unfolded and trying to determine what was going on, I questioned, maybe what happened on the Monday evening shift. And so I had a conversation with Commission President Renitz and, asked him if he thought maybe we should look at the cameras at the police station and just see what time he got to the PD and, if he was there. And President Renitz said, I think that's a good idea. And so I reached out to Detective Oster and asked him if we could look at the cameras, which we did.
Yeah.
I met him.
Nope, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
Which we did. I met him at the police station on Wednesday afternoon, late Wednesday afternoon around 3:30. And we looked at the cameras. And we looked at them from about 5:45 p.m. on Monday, the 11th, to about 6:15 a.m. on Tuesday, the 12th. And there wasn't any activity at the police department. We couldn't see that Cody had at least gone to the police department during his shift. Detective Oster shared with me that didn't necessarily mean that Chief Hallin didn't work his shift. And so we had a brief discussion about how we could determine if he did work his shift. And Detective Oster said that he can see who takes call or takes a call during that time frame. And so we looked at that and we determined that he didn't take any calls during that time frame. We had a conversation about reaching out to dispatch, and Detective Oster said that they wouldn't have that information. They operate in real time, and so they could tell us who was on duty or on call right now at the present time, but not in the past. And I just shared with him that that was concerning just from a record keeping standpoint, and asked him, just to amuse me, could we call dispatch and verify that they don't keep that information? And he did. He called dispatch and asked for that same time frame, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Monday the 11th to Tuesday the 12th. And they confirmed that Chief Hallin, batch number 1135, did not put himself on duty or on call during that time period, nor was any other officer of the Tioga Police Department on duty or on call during that time period.
Okay, so on the evening or afternoon of May 12th, or I'm sorry, May 13th, Wednesday, after investigation with Mr. Oster, you established that there was no video footage showing that Mr. Hallin ever arrived at the PD, and then you and Mr. Oster conferred with dispatch, who indicated there was no record that he even logged himself on to respond to calls for service over that window. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there anything specific about Monday and Tuesday nights and schedules pertaining to Monday and Tuesday nights that gave you specific concerns about the apparent gap in services at the Tioga PD?
Well, it was very clear that Chief Hallin was to take those shifts. We were short-staffed. We had an officer that was out, and Chief Hallin had shared with me that he had reached out to Williams County to ask them if they could take call during those shifts so that he didn't have to work the overnight shifts. And they had told him that they were short-staffed themselves, and I think he said they only had 3 deputies on during that time period. So they just couldn't have someone in or near Tioga for those shifts. And so Cody shared several times that he had to work those overnight shifts and wasn't necessarily excited about it.
Okay, so the issue of short staffing in our collateral or supporting agency, the Williams County Sheriff's Department, on Mondays and Tuesdays, that was known well before the week of May 11th.
That's correct.
And Cody had told you about that specifically, correct?
He did.
And he represented to you that he would cover the Monday and Tuesday evening shifts because of those deficiencies. Is that correct?
That's right.
And in the weeks leading up to that point, that was the time that he was time carding. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Take us through what else were you able to learn, Miss Lenzen, if anything? Let's go into Thursday, the 14th. What was developing between the investigation with Mr. Oster and then moving forward into May 14th?
When I arrived at work on Thursday morning, shortly after that, I had in my email the draft documents for preferred charges. I should back up just a little bit and say that after I left the police department with Detective Oster, I just shared the information that I had found out with Commission President Brett Breenitz. And so when I got to work on Thursday morning, those preferred documents had been drafted and were in my email. And so we were in communication about scheduling that meeting to prefer charges.
Okay. During the course of attempting to establish, whether that was, Wednesday evening or into Thursday morning, where Chief Hallin was, I want to ask directly, did Chief Hallin make any contact with you on May 12th?
No.
Tuesday, May 12th. Okay. Did he indicate to you that he would be missing his shift on May 12th?
No.
Did you later find out that he did indeed miss his shift on the evening of Tuesday, May 12th?
I did. Yeah.
How did you find that out and what happened?
That information was shared with me that next morning. Police Commissioner Bob Fusing came in and shared with me that Cody didn't work his shift the night before, and that they just kind of weren't sure what was going on or, how to handle the situation. And so there was discussion had regarding that.
Okay. As part of that discussion, was there an indication that in fact there had been a call for service on that evening, which was notable?
Yeah, that came just shortly after while Bob was still in my office. Detective Oster and Darcy Grosh came in and shared with us that there had been a call that night shortly after that shift started. I think it was around 6:30. There was a call for service, and I believe from what Detective Oster told us, Cody had gotten the call and called Nick to take the call, and Nick said that he couldn't take the call, but he would call Corey to take the call, and then he was able to reach Corey, and then Corey took the call.
Okay, so
Corey, Officer Halsey.
someone called for emergency services, correct?
Correct.
And then that emergency services dispatcher attempted to reach Cody and couldn't reach him on Tuesday evening, correct?
Correct.
And then somehow Nick Oster was notified of a call requiring service, and he said he couldn't take it, right?
Correct.
And then they had to dispatch Corey Halsey to respond to that call, some 4 or 5 calls later into emergency. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct.
And that was an evening again where Mr. Hallin was to be on shift, correct?
Correct.
And you understood from Oster and Groshi that he was not on shift when scheduled and there was no known replacement, right?
Yeah, I think there was confusion because obviously the shift had started by that time. And so from my understanding, then Detective Oster was just trying to make sure that there was coverage. I'm not sure how he determined that Cody would not be working any more of that shift or wasn't available for that shift. But he reached out to Officer Halsey and asked him if he could take call for the rest of Chief Halline's shift, which he did. He started taking call at 7:07.
Okay. All right. So then I think you were trying to tell us other events that had maybe developed on Wednesday into Thursday. You had, and before I enter this information, I want to make sure for the record with Mr. Sprout. Mr. Sprout, you and I did confer in writing prior to the hearing. We discussed issues regarding medical records, which are typically confidential. After consultation with your client executed a waiver, correct, allowing for the release of relevant records for the purposes of this hearing?
That's correct.
Okay, I move to admit the waiver for medical records into the record. I would ask that the public version of that record be redacted to remove Mr. Hallin's last 4 of his social security number, his date of birth, and his personal residence, but otherwise the totality of that release, I move to enter.
I'd like the medical waiver entered into the record.
Thank you. After you had reviewed the draft, well, first, let me back you up. I asked you earlier about the city handbook. Do you recall that, Ms. Lenzen?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a proviso in the city handbook that speaks to absenteeism at or over a period of 3 days?
Yeah, there are 2 sections in the handbook, one regarding absenteeism or tardiness, and the other one regarding no call, no show.
Okay, one of those provisions is job abandonment at policy 5.03. Is that right?
Correct.
What does the job abandonment policy say?
The policy says that if you're deemed a no call, no show for 3 consecutive shifts, it's determined that you've abandoned your position and it's assumed that it's a voluntary resignation.
Okay. In advance of his having missed work on Monday, the 11th night shift, Tuesday, the 12th night shift, and then Wednesday, the 13th night shift, did Mr. Hallin ever reach out to you to tell you he wouldn't be there?
He did not reach out to me.
Were you aware, based on your communications with Commission President Renitz, that he had reached out to Mr. Renitz to advise of a 3-day no-show?
I was not aware of that if that conversation took place.
Okay.
I'm
And
still not aware that conversation took place.
okay. And do you have any information that suggests that Police Commissioner Fuson was made aware of a 3-day in a row no-show by Mr. Hallin?
I wasn't made aware of that.
Okay. The other policy, you referenced another policy. What other policy was that deals with tardiness and absenteeism?
Yeah, that policy states that if you are going to be absent or tardy for your shift, the requirement is that you notify your direct supervisor or a higher supervisor within 30 minutes before the shift starts.
Okay, who would be Cody's direct supervisor? Do you know?
It would be Police Commissioner Bob Hewson.
And who would be his next supervisor above and beyond that?
Commission President Brett Renitz.
Okay. And I think that's policy, and I'm going to check, but I'll have you confirm. That's policy 5.01, correct?
Look here. It is 5.01.
Okay. Thursday morning, before you received a facsimile or an email, we'll get to that. Did you have occasion to speak with Mr. Renitz and or Commissioner Fuson about both the absentee and tardiness policies and the job abandonment policies?
I did.
What was discussed at that point? What was understood between his two supervisors as they recounted events to your office?
Well, I don't think there was a lot understood. The communication was minimal, if any, with Cody, and so they didn't know if or when he was coming back. They really didn't know what was going on, and so that's just kind of what we tried to work with.
Okay. Did they know where he was?
They didn't know where he was. They had speculations, but he had not communicated with them where he was.
Okay. And is it your understanding that that's why early that morning I was conferring with Mr. Renitz regarding the preferred charges, which were in your email inbox when you came into work?
Correct.
Okay. Later on Thursday, you got an email and or a facsimile, is that right?
Yeah, it was later Thursday morning, I believe. I got an email from Darcy Grosh, and then also on our fax machine in City Hall, I received a health certification for FMLA for Chief Hallin.
Okay. Did the FMLA certification provide a probable date when medical treatment or whatever treatment, I don't even need you to tell me what kind of treatment, but when that would commence, what date that would commence?
Yeah, it was expected to commence on May 15th. I'm
Okay.
sorry, May 14th, and then they expected further on May 15th.
Okay, prior to May 14th, mid-morning, when you got that email from Darcy Grosh, did you have any information from Chief Hallin or any member of the Tioga PD that there was any health event at issue here?
I did not. When Detective Oster and Darcy were in my office on Wednesday morning, they specifically said they did not know what was going on. They didn't have any idea about what was going on. And their concern strictly was making sure that there was coverage for the PD.
Okay. Was there also a point prior to the time at which you received the email from Miss Grosh where you watched Mr. Fuson attempt to contact Cody Hallin.
Yeah, he did try to call Cody Helene on Wednesday and he didn't reach him.
Okay. He was not able to establish contact with Mr. Hallin on Wednesday,
That's right.
and you witnessed that event as well.
I did.
Okay. Wendy, in your estimation, based upon what you've observed, did you, the events that occurred in your presence, or the communications that occurred in your presence, were any of them, did they raise issues of honesty or dishonesty? Did that ever occur during the 4-day window we're discussing here?
I mean, absolutely. Officer Helene led us all to believe that he had worked that Monday shift. And in fact, there was no coverage for our community.
Okay, that was the time carding issue, right? He represented that he had been at work that evening, and you later established that was not true.
Correct.
And he billed the city for that time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Since that time and since the discovery, has Mr. Helene contacted you to say, hey, I didn't work that shift?
He has not.
Okay. Has he made any contact with you to other than the facsimile Thursday afternoon to tell you, hey, here's what's going on?
No, I've not spoken to Chief Helene since Tuesday morning.
And when you spoke with him on Tuesday morning, did he tell you he was suffering a medical emergency?
No,
Did he tell you he thought that medical emergency would require treatment in coming days?
he did not.
Did he ask for any kind of leave when he spoke with you on Tuesday morning?
No, he didn't.
Okay. Does the city have a policy regarding requests for leave?
We do.
What does that policy entail?
Well, the policy requires a minimum of 30 minutes again before your shift, but it also requests that if you're going to request a leave, that you do it as soon as you're able. In a situation like this, they request a 30-day notice if you're aware that you need to have that leave.
Okay. I don't have any more questions for Ms. Lenzen, so I'll pass to the commission, and then when the commission's done with any questions they might have, we'll pass to Mr. Sprout.
Doesn't seem like we have any questions for Wendy.
Oop, you're on mute, Jeff.
Yeah, Mr. Sprout, you're on mute.
Thank you. Wendy, earlier you were talking about the FMLA policy. But doesn't that policy also allow for a turnaround quicker than 30 days?
Oh, sure it does. If it's warranted, it certainly does.
Sure. It just depends on the individualized circumstances. Is that correct?
Yep.
And you talked about an incident from I think May 11th to May 12th where Cody had been logged in and you called him the next day. And he admitted that he just had accidentally stayed logged in. Is that correct?
No, he did tell me that, yes, when he was still logged in, he said that he forgot to punch out. He left work about 4 a.m. and asked me to make that correction for him.
Right. And do people make time card errors like that from time to time with the city?
Yeah, they do.
And was Chief Helene allowed to work from home at times if he was doing time cards for other employees or paperwork, things like that?
You'd have to ask his direct supervisors. I don't know that it was common practice for him to work from home. I know that sometimes our officers are in an on-call status, but as far as him working from home to do desk work or paperwork, that was not a common practice. There's a lot of confidential information that they work with, and so I think typically he does that out of his office.
But he has a city computer, correct?
He does.
And in one of your conversations, he mentioned having to wait for it to charge up before he could do some work.
He did, yep.
And as far as the evenings where Chief Hallin wasn't at the police department, you heard from Nick Oster that that didn't necessarily mean he wasn't working, correct?
Are you speaking about Monday evening? He did indicate that because we didn't see that he had, because he wasn't at the police department at any time during his shift, that didn't necessarily mean that he didn't work his shift.
And Tuesday, do you know if anyone else was on call that night?
On Monday night or on Tuesday night?
Tuesday.
On Tuesday night, I think Detective Oster, after realizing that Chief Aline, wouldn't be at work, asked, Officer Hallin to take call for the rest of that shift. And I think he went on call at 7:07 that evening.
You said Helene, did you mean someone else?
Officer Halsey.
Okay, that's what I was
Sorry.
guessing, but I wanted to make the record clear. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'll note that, Mr. Sprout's an attorney. I'm not concerned with scope of direct and cross Mr. Sprout. I'm going to call Miss Darcy Grosh to the witness stand, so feel free to exceed the scope of my direct when you do your cross.
I was going to ask about that for her and Mr. Or Officer Oster.
There, see, do you, okay, do you swear or affirm that the facts and statements you will provide to the commission are true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief under pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you first tell us your first and last name and do me a favor and spell your last name for the record?
It's Darcy Grosche, Grosche.
Okay, and you pronounced that, I was thinking I was pronouncing it wrong. It is Grosche, not Grosh. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that clarification. Can you tell me do you work at the Tioga PD?
Yes, I do. I'm the administrative assistant.
Okay, how long have you worked there?
Since March of 2023.
Okay, and as an administrative assistant, what are your duties within the PD?
Oh boy. I have a lot of them. Can you maybe just ask me some clarifying questions?
I don't know if I can. I think that's pretty straightforward. Why don't you just give me a summary of what your usual day-to-day duties at the PD amount to?
Well, I answer phones. I do records requests. I read reports. I approve them. I attach documents to the reports. I file the reports. I also work for the municipal court, so I get reports ready for those cases. I'm also the evidence technician, so if evidence comes in, I log that evidence. People come in to pay citations, I take care of that. I look for them online, I answer emails, I order supplies, I order uniforms, anything for the PD, I order.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I do a lot.
it sounds like you do a lot. As part of your duties, I note that you didn't describe the approval of leave. Is that one of your duties? Do you approve the leave of officers or supervisors in the PD?
No, I do not.
Who does that?
The chief approves my leave and the officer's leave.
Okay, so the chief is in charge of making the PD schedule, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, so if the chief is in charge of making the schedule, I mean, is that what the officers rely on to show up for work or not?
yes.
Okay. And what if, how does it work at the PD if someone's going to be absent? Let's say a schedule comes out for the week of May 11th. If someone is going to be absent, how does that work? Who takes care of rearranging the schedule?
So if we know that there's going to be an absence, somebody's on vacation, or if they call in sick, normally Chief Helene, Detective Oster, and the officers, they communicate with each other on who can cover what shift.
Okay. And of course, people who work for the PD, if they're not on a shift, they don't punch a time card saying they are, do they?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. If there's a schedule for the PD and someone's on it and they don't show up for their shift, they would not punch a time card saying they were there when they weren't, would they?
No, they would not.
Okay, that would be dishonest, we agree, right?
Yes,
Do you help with time carding?
I do.
Tell me about that. When did you begin helping with time carding?
When we took over, or not when we took over, when the city had the new time clock where we were clocking in and clocking out, I go through, myself and Chief Helene, we would go through to make sure that everybody had the correct punches. So if an officer, say they miss a punch, or they thought they clocked in or thought they clocked out, they would either send me an email or leave a note on my desk, and I could adjust that time for them. So say they came at 5:45 but didn't clock in, weren't supposed to clock in till 6, but then for whatever reason didn't clock in, or their app didn't work, and they noticed it was 6:15, then I would fix that for them. Same thing with clocking out.
Okay. Did you fix any time cards for any member of the department during the week of May 11th?
No, not that I recall.
Did any officer ask you to correct any time cards during the week of May 11th?
I don't remember. I don't think so. No.
Let me be more direct. Did Chief Helene ask you to correct any time that he'd entered on his time card during the week of May 11th?
No, he did not.
Okay. So you wouldn't have changed any time carding that occurred on May 11th?
Not for him, no.
Okay. Did you speak with Chief Helene on May 11th?
Yes, I did.
What was the nature of your communications with Chief Helene on May 11th?
It was in regards to some errors in my time sheet.
Let's pause here. Stop. Okay. I think we have mute capabilities back. I'm sorry, Ms. Groshi. Can you start over again? Tell me about the communications on May 11th and what time of day those might have occurred. Just fill us in there, please.
Well, at 6:30 in the morning on Monday, May 11th, he texted me and said, "Call me when you're awake." I happened to be awake, and so I called him back. We laughed about, he didn't expect me to call him so early. He said that there were some errors in my timesheet, and I said, okay. I grabbed my computer. We walked through it. I'm like, oh, no, it had to do with my vacation, so we just had to make some corrections on that. Thought I did. Later in the day, he called me. I don't have my records in front of me. I want to say it was about 11:20. He either called or texted me. Like, we had calls and texts throughout Monday, starting at the 6:30 in the morning, and the last text message I received from him was, I think, about 4:00 in the afternoon.
At any point during those calls, and I'll let you defer to the records. I know Mr. Sprout has a series of records and call logs from you, Ms. Groshi, which we appreciate. So I'll take all your timelines as being estimates and defer to those records, but at any time on May 11th, up to your last call with Cody Hallin, did he ever tell you that he wouldn't be coming into shift that night?
No, he did not.
Did he ever tell you that he wouldn't be coming into shift on Tuesday night?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you on May 11th that he wasn't coming into shift on Wednesday night?
No,
Did he tell you that he wasn't coming into shift on Thursday night?
no,
Did he tell you that he had to take leave for any purpose at all at any point during that week?
on Monday, no.
Okay. All right. So let's go to Tuesday. Did you talk to Chief Hallin on Tuesday, May 12th?
I don't know if I talked to him or we texted. I honestly don't
Okay.
remember. Again, I don't have my records in front of me. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't think to bring them.
No. That's totally okay. Did you, let me ask it differently, and I'm not trying to trick you. Did you have any communications with Chief Hallin at all on Tuesday, May 12th? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. No, I'm thinking, I know I spoke with his mom. We may have texted earlier in the day. I truly don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay. You talked to his mom?
On Tuesday, yes, I did. She called me.
About what time do you think you work day shift, right? You don't work nights?
I do. That day, I actually worked until 5:45. I got off work. I'm literally 2 minutes from home, if even that. And when I got home, I was visiting with my sister-in-law and my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, so I declined it. It called back right away. At that point, I think it was probably about 5:50. I apologize, 5:50 p.m. And it was Cody's mom telling me that his dad was coming to get him and he was going to the hospital.
On Tuesday?
On Tuesday, yes.
Okay. And did they say why he was going to the hospital?
No,
Do you know, are his parents local? Do they live right there in Tioga, or do you have any idea?
yes, they live in Minnesota.
Okay. International Falls, Minnesota sound right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. About 9 hours away, is that right?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. So his mom contacted you and told you that his dad was on his way from 9 hours away in Minnesota to take Cody to the hospital on
Yes.
Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay. What did you do with that information?
I told her she needed to reach out to Bob Fusion, our police commissioner. He needed to be notified. And then I reached out to Nick and let him know so that Nick could make sure that there was coverage.
Okay. And you said Cody's mom called sometime shortly before 6, and then you declined the call, and then she called shortly after 6?
No, it was it was like back-to-back phone calls. It was
Okay.
before 6 o'clock.
Okay. Do you know if Nick Oster contacted anyone after your advice that he should notify Mr. Fusion?
Well, I told Cody's mom to do it, so I don't know if Nick reached out to Bob or not.
Okay. And you weren't party to the call that Cody's mom made to Bob, I assume. You weren't like conferenced in or there or
No.
anything.
No,
Okay.
I just told her that he needed to be notified because he was Cody's supervisor.
Okay. Was there any reason his mom was, I mean, why wasn't Cody calling, if you know? Why was Cody's mom calling you and not Cody?
That would be a question for Cody.
Fair enough.
I can't answer that.
Okay. Did you have any contact with Cody Hallin on Wednesday, the 13th?
I don't remember, maybe a text message or two, or maybe a few text messages. I don't remember. I know that I spoke with his mom.
Okay. Did any member of City Hall, that being Mr. Renitz or Wendy Lenzen or Bob Fusion, ask you on Wednesday if you'd heard it all from Cody Hallin?
When Detective Oster and I were in Wendy's office that morning, at that point, no. I had not
Wendy.
heard from Cody.
That's what I'm asking. Did Wendy ask you if you'd heard from Cody?
Oh, yes. Yes, she did.
Did she imply that she didn't know what was going on and was trying to figure out what was happening?
Yes, yeah, she was trying to figure out what was going on.
Did you tell her that you hadn't been in contact with Cody?
At that point, no, I hadn't been in contact, only with his mom. I
Did you
think.
tell her you'd been in contact with his mother?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And what did you tell her about that contact with his mother?
I told her the same thing that I just told you, that his mom called me. I told and she said that he was going to the hospital, that his dad was coming to get him. And I told her she needed to contact Bob Fusion and I would call Nick.
Okay, so you didn't tell her you hadn't seen or heard from Cody.
Well, she didn't ask. She just told me that he was going to the hospital. And I said, okay.
No, I'm talking about Wendy. You didn't tell Wendy
Oh.
Lenzen that you hadn't seen or heard from Cody when she asked you about that on Wednesday?
Well, I hadn't seen or heard from Cody. I heard from his mom.
Okay. Okay. Let's move into Wednesday evening. Any contact from Cody himself, not his mother, but Cody himself?
No, I don't think so.
Let's move into Thursday morning. Any contact from Cody Hallin himself?
I think there were some text messages on Thursday.
Okay, what did those say?
I think I reached out to him, like, are you okay? I don't remember.
Okay. And do you recall what his response was?
Probably he was okay. I wish I had them in front of me so that I could answer them more
Okay.
efficiently.
Okay. Any communication about anything else on Thursday with Mr. Hallin?
On Thursday, on Thursday, he texted me about his paperwork that was faxed to the police department, just making sure that I forward it over to City Hall, just in case the fax didn't go through.
Okay, so to be clear, Cody Hallin sent to you paperwork regarding FMLA leave on Thursday, is that right?
He sent it to the police department.
Okay, and then you forwarded that along after receipt to City Hall via email, correct? To Miss Lenzen?
Correct.
Okay. And Cody asked that that be done as a duplicate measure. That was your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where Cody is right now?
At this moment, no.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions for Ms. Groshi. I'll pass to the commission board, and then when they're done, they can pass to Mr. Sprout.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you tell me what hours you worked on Monday, the 11th, please?
Monday, the 11th, 8 to 5 or 8 to 5. 8 to 5 are my normal hours. Sometimes I'll work 8:30 to 5:30 or 9 to 6, but my normal hours are 8 to 5.
Do you remember a little more? Was it 8 to 5 or
But it's
6?
11th. I believe that was an 8 to 5 shift.
Okay. How about Tuesday, the 12th?
Tuesday, I left at 5:45, so 8:45 to 5:45.
How about Wednesday, the 13th?
Wednesday, the 13th, it was 8 to 5.
How about Thursday?
Thursday, I came in at 9, so 9 to 6.
And then Friday.
Friday would be 8 to 5.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, Thursday, they were all 8 to 5 shifts. I'm sorry. The only different shift was Tuesday. Was the 8:45 to 5:45. All the other shifts were 8 to 5. I'm sorry. I was a week.
So
ahead right now.
Thursday was from 8 to 5?
Yes,
Final answer.
final answer.
And Friday was also 8 to 5?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
You hear me well, Darcy?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I only have a couple questions for you. Earlier, we had some discussion about vacation time for officers and you and Cody going through and approving it. Who would usually approve Cody's time if he was taking sick time or vacation time?
That would be the police commissioner, who normally would approve the chief's vacation.
And is it true that at the end of pay periods, you and Cody would often edit the time cards yourself?
Well, we always go through them together, and then, because he knows the officer schedules a little, I mean, I know what they're scheduled to work, but sometimes, if they cover for one another, I know, like, with vacations, he's really good at helping me to be like, okay, so this person, why did Corey or why did Nick or why, just to make sure, oh, yes, they did work that shift, or I had him come in early for it just, yeah. We just do it together. We always think that, two people are better than one, so we just do it together.
And are there sometimes edits at the end of pay periods?
Yeah, and then, yep,
And May 11th, you and Chief Helene had kind of work-related conversations. Would that be accurate?
yes.
And then on Thursday of that week, you had conversations about his potential FMLA leave.
Just through a text message, he just wanted to make sure that it got faxed and that it got sent over to City Hall.
Was Chief Helene responsive to you anytime you reached out the week of May 11th?
At that, I mean, he didn't always respond like right away, but eventually he would.
Did you feel like he abandoned the department at all?
No, I do not.
You feel like he abandoned his position of chief during that time period?
No, I do not.
Do you still feel like he was in charge of the department the week of May 11th?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Brief redirect. There we are. You just testified that typically the police commissioner would approve prior leave. Is that right?
Yes.
For Cody, I mean, correct?
For Cody, yes.
Okay. Are you aware, let's say within the last 45 days of May 11th, was Cody out of office for any pre-approved leave?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't recall whether the chief was absent for some portion of late April into early May?
Oh, in April, I'm sorry, I apologize. In April, yes, he was gone from work.
For how long?
I believe it was for 2 weeks.
Okay. Do you know whether that leave was approved?
That was approved by FMLA, if I recall.
Okay, by Commissioner Fusen, correct?
I don't know if the police commissioner approves FMLA or not.
Okay, but he was on approved FMLA leave in late April into early May, correct?
Oh, in late April. No, I'm sorry. That was the beginning of April. My apologies.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Our next witness, sorry guys, I was turning to notes, will be Nick Oster.
All right, Nick, do you swear or affirm that the facts and statements that you will provide to the commission are true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Oster, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it Oster or Oster?
Oster.
Okay. What's your current position with the Tioga PD?
I am a detective.
Okay. And how long have you been a detective at the PD?
3 months.
Okay.
Maybe. What month is it? 5? Yeah, 3 months.
Okay. And approximates are okay with me. Before you were a detective at the PD, what was your position?
Patrol.
Okay, and how long have you been with the PD between having been on patrol and being made a detective? How long have you worked at the PD?
Since August of 23.
Okay. What is the chain of command at the PD? How does tell us who's at the top and then work down from the top to bottom? What's the chain of command look like?
Police commissioner, chief, whoever's second in command, whether they're on a supervisor position or a special detail position, and then patrol.
Okay, so like within the PD by name, what's the chain of command look like? That'd be Bob Fusion, then Cody Hallin, then who?
Me.
Then who?
Me. Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted me to repeat. I would say by seniority, Joel.
Okay, then after that,
And tell you they're both brand new.
okay. So essentially of the not new cops, there's just you, Cody, and Joel. Is that correct?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I sure can. Excluding the newer hires, the I guess most senior law enforcement members within the PD are Cody, you, and Joel, correct?
Correct.
And we're talking about Joel Chaffetz, is that right?
Yes, ma'am, Shadow.
Okay, yep, I'm terrible with last names. I'm sorry, Chaffet. What was there any short staffing at the PD during the week of May 11th?
Yes, ma'am.
There was an officer who was not able to report for duty that week outside of Chief Hallin. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware within the confines of the PD any particular concerns with scheduling on Monday and Tuesday evenings?
You mean as in before the fact or now after the fact?
No, before the fact. I should have been clear. Let me just
No,
ask this
ma'am.
more. Okay, you're not aware that Williams County Sheriff's Department is short-staffed on Monday and Tuesday evenings?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Helene didn't share that with you?
Not that I know of. He
Okay.
possibly did. I don't know. I've worked a lot of days past 2 weeks.
Okay. Did you talk to Cody Helene at all on May 11th, Monday, May 11th?
I do not believe so, no.
Okay. Did you talk to him during his night shift, Cody Helene's night shift on May 11th?
No,
Did you talk to Cody Helene on May 12th?
I did.
What did you guys talk about on May 12th,
He
Tuesday?
called me at approximately 6:30, informing me that there was an accident in Tioga and he had sent Corey to it.
Okay. Is that 6:30 a.m. or p.m.?
PM.
Why would he have called you at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 12th to tell you that he had sent Corey Hallisey to respond to an accident in Tioga?
I don't know. He's the boss.
Does he routinely call you to tell you he's dispatched other officers during a shift?
Sometimes just in case I need to also assist.
Did you understand that he was to be Cody Helene, was he scheduled to be on shift on Tuesday evening?
I don't think he was scheduled. I believe he was covering for Joel.
Okay, Joel, who was absent.
Correct.
Okay, but Corey wasn't on the Tuesday evening schedule ahead of Tuesday, was he?
Not that I know of. No.
Okay, and the evening shift starts at 6 p.m., right?
Correct.
And Mr. Helene didn't call you until 6:30.
Correct.
Okay, did Wendy Lenzen make contact with your office, and you specifically, I should say, did you and Wendy Lenzen have any contact on Wednesday, the 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that, please. What happened?
Darcy and I went over to City Hall to get me permissions for a lab tech.
Okay, then what happened?
We talked about that. We talked about Cody not being at work.
Okay, so this is what time Wednesday
Oh.
were you talking about Cody not being at work with Wendy Lenzen-ish?
Sometime in the morning, I think.
What was said when you and Darcy were there with Wendy? What was said about Cody not being at work?
I was getting permissions for a lab tech as Cody wasn't there for timesheets. I was asked why I needed the permissions, and I informed her that Bob had called me that morning, approximately 8 o'clock, asking me if I was ready to run the ship again.
Okay. Did you know at that time where Cody Hallin was, or why you might have to run the ship, so to speak?
I knew that he was not in. I did not know why. He had called me Tuesday night and said he would not be in as his dad was coming to pick him up.
Okay, but he didn't tell you why his dad was coming to pick him up.
No.
So did you Tuesday night, did you convey that information to anyone?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay. Did you do anything else with Wendy or to follow your meeting with Wendy on Wednesday?
I told him as soon as I found anything out about Cody, I'll let him know.
Okay. Did you on Wednesday review any footage with Wendy Lenzen?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. What footage did you review?
The lobby, camera, the front camera, and the rear camera, which includes the garages.
Okay. So you reviewed all ingress and egress to the PD for the evening shift of May 11th, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever see Cody Hallin ingress or egress the PD building?
No, ma'am.
Was that a point of conversation that occurred between you and Miss Lenzen?
Yes.
What did you guys do next to figure out whether Cody had been at work or not on Monday evening?
I went through CFS's call service in my CAD system to see if he had been dispatched to anything or if he had self-initiated any calls.
And did that show that he had been self-initiated to anything or responded to any calls?
No, ma'am.
Okay. No, it didn't show that he had engaged in any work or any self-engagement that evening, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then did you make further inquiry with any other entity or agency?
Yeah, I had called dispatch to see if they were able to see if anybody was working previous days.
Okay. And was dispatch able to confirm whether Mr. Hallin had clocked in or clocked out on that evening or contacted dispatch?
Clocked in or clocked out? No.
Okay.
But he was not on the board.
He was, what does that mean? Tell us in
On our, I guess we call it the board. On our CAD system, it shows any and all available and on call units.
Were there any units registered for Monday evening for Tioga to be on the board?
What's that? Sorry.
Okay, so there's a board, right? And that's how we know who would be contactable for dispatch. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were there any officers on the board for Tioga for the evening shift of May 11th?
They said no.
Okay. How about the evening of May 12th? Who worked that?
Corey Hallisey.
Okay. What about Wednesday, May 13th? Who worked the evening shift there?
But then I want to say also Corey.
Okay. And then that brings us into Thursday. Did you have any contact with Cody Hallin on Thursday, May 14th?
I believe he texted me later in the afternoon, asked me to return a call for him.
Okay. Did you have any contact at any point with Cody Halline's mother?
I did while she was on the phone with Darcy.
What day was that?
Want to say Wednesday?
Okay. But Cody was texting you on Thursday.
He texted me once.
Okay. Did anyone ever explain to you, Cody or his mother, why his mother was calling you instead of Cody?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything further, so I'll pass to the commission board and then he can be passed to Mr. Sprout.
I have a few questions.
Never.
Do you know who worked Monday day shift? Do you know who worked Monday night shift? Do you know who worked Tuesday day shift? Do you know who worked Tuesday night shift?
Corey Hallin.
Do you know who worked Wednesday day shift?
Me.
Do you know who worked Wednesday night shift?
Corey Hallin, and same for Thursday.
You and Corey were
Yes, sir.
day shift and night shift?
Yes, sir.
When you guys are come upon shift change, whatever time that may be, what is your guys' policy and procedure with that?
Well, it gives a little bit of leeway depending on the situation. Normally, we meet at the PD and we give shift read. Certain situations, we can do it by phone.
Okay. On Wednesday, since you worked day shift and Corey worked night shift, did you guys have a shift change between those hours of you going off and him coming on? Do you recall where that took place at?
I don't remember Wednesday very well.
How about Thursday, when you guys were, so Corey was coming off shift Wednesday night and you were coming on shift Thursday, where did shift change take place?
Still at Pinnacle, I had met him at Pinnacle before shift change and we did shift change at the PD.
And then on, I guess Friday morning, who worked Friday morning?
I think I did.
Okay. Do you recall where you guys did shift change that day?
Maybe that's when we met at Pinnacle. I don't know. We did shift change at the PD most days, I would assume.
Okay, so normally it's standard practice to do shift change typically at the PD.
Correct.
If everything is calm around town and there's no call for service standing,
Correct.
typically you guys go to the PD to do shift change.
Correct.
When you guys do shift change at the PD, what else do you do at the PD during that time?
Get ready for our shift, get our cars ready.
Okay. What about your Axon body cameras? Explain how that works as far as docking them, charging them, wearing them, all that, please.
Before you leave, you take it off, put on the charger. When you get back to work, you take it off charger, put it on.
Okay. As far as each officer, does each officer have one body camera or do they have multiple?
One.
Okay. Is there, let's say your shift is going long and your Axon body camera is dying. Is there backup body camera batteries to where you can grab a partner's battery and put that in your Axon body camera, or is the battery and the camera all encapsulated to where you can't
I mean,
disassemble
I'm
it?
sure you can, but I don't know how to do that. That would be an Axon thing.
So it's not normal practice to
No.
disassemble the camera to switch out the batteries. Okay.
Correct.
How long does a battery body camera normally last?
That's a loaded question. It really, I mean, I've had it
Yeah,
last
on average.
14 hours, I've had it last 4. And I think it depends on weather, if it's rolling,
Okay.
all the other things.
So as far as when you guys are on shift and patrolling, whatever that may be, doing, walking around town, checking doors, calls for service, whatever it may be, the camera's on standby until it's needed, and then it's activated on. And then after the call for service is completed, you guys shut it off then? The back end standby, correct?
Yep.
Okay. The last thing, I guess, you and Chief Hallin do any communication as far as if there's anything that's precedenting, as far as like severe drug busts or severe domestic or anything like that? Do you guys keep a call log of that during your shift between you and him?
I guess that's kind of confusing. Do you mean, do we talk about anything that big has happened, basically?
Correct. So like if let's say you need to do some follow-up investigative work or whatever it may be, do you communicate with Chief Hallin that there's ABC going on, we need to further investigate that?
If he needs to be told about it, yes.
Okay. Did any of that take place during this week of the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Hear me, Mr. Oster.
Sorry, it's a little hard to hear you.
How about now?
You're good.
Was Chief Hallin responsive to you during the week of May 11th?
During the week or the day? Sorry.
The week of May 11th.
He had texted me a couple times.
Did you ever reach out to him?
I tried calling him once, I believe.
Okay. Did he end up getting back to you?
The next day, yes.
Did you feel like Chief Hallin had abandoned the department during the week of May 11th?
No, sir.
Was Chief Hallin still making department-related decisions?
Yes.
No further questions. Thank you.
Brief redirect.
Yes, ma'am.
What department directions did Chief Hallin give during the week of May 11th?
Sending Corey Hallisey to a call outside of Tioga at 6:30, I believe. Maybe it was 6, somewhere in there, whenever that crash happened.
Okay, the crash where
Or
Corey
Tuesday. Sorry.
Nope, that's okay. I should be more careful. We're recording, so it's hard to hear us if we talk over each other. The crash occurred on the evening, that was Tuesday evening, wasn't it? May 12th?
I believe so.
And Corey Hallisey was not on duty or scheduled to be on duty that evening, right?
Correct, until I put him on, yes.
Okay, so the single direction that Mr. Hallin gave the department was to substitute another officer in for a shift, which he was supposed to fill. Is that a fair summary?
I suppose.
Okay, I don't have anything.
I was wondering, is there a way that we can silence the comment section?
Do we,
Just so it's not, so distracting, I guess. I mean, I encourage people to comment, that's fine. It's kind of loud coming from the TV and then it kind of distraction. Is that possible?
you guys mind if I sneak over there real quick and see if we can't silence the notifications?
Yeah, I think that's fine, Brett. Why don't
There we
we,
go. Nope, she's got it.
okay. let's make sure comments remain on because we allowed the hearing to start with them, but if we can just silence the notifications, I agree that might be easier to hear everyone. I call Corey Hallisey.
Hey, Corey, do you swear or affirm that the facts and statements you will provide to the commission are true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief under pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Hallisey, I think your first name is spelled differently, so I just want to confirm that. Is that Kaare?
That is correct.
Okay, and Hallisey is Hallesey?
ESY. HALLESY.
All right, thank you, sir. Can you just give us the rundown of when you were scheduled as of Monday, May 11th? When were you scheduled to work during the week of May 11th? On
So
Monday?
For that week, I was not scheduled to work Monday or Tuesday. I was scheduled to work Wednesday and Thursday.
Were you scheduled to work Wednesday and Thursday day or Wednesday and Thursday night?
Wednesday and Thursday night.
Okay, who was on for Wednesday and Thursday day?
Nick Oster, Detective Nick Oster.
Okay, who was on for Monday day?
I believe it was Officer Zach Reesing.
Okay, who was on for Monday night?
I was unaware of who was going to be covering that evening, as I knew we had an officer out. I was not communicated who would be covering that evening.
Okay, so when everybody checked out of the PD on Monday, nobody knew who was covering Monday night?
I can't honestly answer that question, as I made no contact with the PD on Monday evening.
What about Tuesday evening? I know you said you weren't scheduled, but did you end up working Tuesday evening?
Yes, I did. I was contacted by Chief Hallin around 5:52 of a bad car wreck on Highway 40 outside of Tioga, and he asked me to get ready and go to it. I went to the PD, and around 6:30 I was called to disregard, as there were multiple officers, including County, Ray PD, and State Patrol, already on the scene.
Okay, you said that was a bad accident?
Very bad accident, yes.
Okay, and Tioga was dispatched to the accident, but no one responded?
I was told to disregard by Chief Hallin due to the number of officers there.
Okay. Who was scheduled for Tuesday evening initially, as of Monday?
I was again unaware of who was supposed to be working that evening. I assumed it was going to be covered by one of my fellow officers. But when I was asked to step in, I stepped in.
Okay, no, and we appreciate that. So nobody knew who was covering Tuesday night either?
I personally did not know. It was not communicated to me.
Okay. Did you have any contact with Chief Hallin outside of the call, telling you to dispatch to the accident and then telling you you didn't need to? Did you have any further communication with him on Tuesday, May 12th?
Tuesday, May 12th, no.
How about Wednesday, May 13th?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you have any contact with Chief Hallin on Thursday, May 14th?
I believe it was Thursday. He just texted me to see how I was doing, and we had a brief conversation. He was making sure I was doing okay. I didn't ask him where he was at. I respected his privacy. He just mainly wanted to check in on me.
What do you mean you respected his privacy? What led you to believe that there was a privacy issue in play by Thursday?
Because I was just informed that on Wednesday that Cody was out of the office, and to just refer all questions for chain of command to Nick.
Who told you that Cody was out of the office on Thursday and to refer everything to Nick?
Nick Oster.
Okay. What time did that occur?
I do not recall the time. I believe it was going to be at shift change. I honestly do not recall.
Okay. I'll pass to the commission board. I don't know that I have anything further.
Corey, will you say again, Tuesday night, who asked you to respond to that bad vehicle accident?
Cody initially asked me to respond to that bad vehicle accident.
Initially, was there a second
No,
request?
I misspoke, but no, it was Cody that asked me to respond to that.
It was Cody. Okay, that's it for me.
You stated you think Zach worked on Monday day shift?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Have you spoken to Zach since to confirm that or not?
Zach did confirm in the back that he did.
You did work?
Mhm.
Okay. On Tuesday night, when you come in to fill in, did you do a shift change on Tuesday night?
No, I immediately went to the PD to grab my body cam and a taser battery as I had left those to charge at the PD. And was gonna make my way to Highway 40 when I was told to disregard.
Okay. On Wednesday morning during shift change, who did you do shift change with?
I was on call for Wednesday evening. I responded to an additional call of a reckless driver in the trailer park. I did not do a shift change on Wednesday evening.
Okay, so you guys
Or
did
on Tuesday, on what would be Wednesday morning.
so you just did a on the phone shift change then or some sort of like that?
No shift change was made as I was on call. I informed Nick after the fact of what had happened and the investigation I would be doing. After the fact, it was made well before shift change. It was made that evening, so technically, yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you know who worked Friday day shift?
I honestly do not remember.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of mixed
All
together.
right.
Corey, I got one more question for Tuesday night. You responded to the call, you got turned back. You said Chief Hallin told you to head on back because you had ample coverage
Yes.
out there.
Yes,
Did you work the entire Tuesday night shift?
I was then contacted by Nick Oster to be on call for the rest of that night.
Or were you actively patrolling or just on call?
Just on call.
Did Detective Oster tell you why you needed to be on call all night on a shift that you weren't scheduled to be on call?
No, he did not. He just asked me to cover it, and I stepped up and I did so.
Thank you.
No more commission questions? Officer Halsey, can you hear me?
Yes, again.
So from your prior testimony, I understand that Chief Hallin was in contact with you at least twice during the week of May 11th.
Yes.
Was there ever any time during that week where you reached out to him?
No, I did not.
Was there ever any other time during that week that required you two to communicate about anything?
I do not believe so. That confession is a little confusing.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Brief redirect. The 2 times that you had contact with Mr. Hallin during the week of May 11th was requesting that you come on call on May 12th and then advising you shortly thereafter you did not need to respond, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I have.
Hey guys, we got,
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
oh, sorry, Liz, I'm thinking we're creeping up on 7:45. I was wondering how you guys felt about a recess.
Yeah, I won't mind take a 5-minute recess. Make a motion to take a 5-minute recess.
I'll second. Right, we got a motion and a second to take a recess. Let's vote on that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are recessed at 7:43 for 5 minutes.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, Yeah. We can probably.
So if you walk through these bathroom, it's like a 20-degree difference.
There's only one thing else. I think everybody was
Still down
Beacon Eye. Maybe.
Kids are being so good.
So from that point back. Yeah, I think the grass is shot up a few inches. Just the bolts.
So, grass is gonna push you up. Yes, sir.
Like I said, on the station. So I was thinking about that. That's an organization.
Shucks. What's that?
It's that phone. Get the air turned down. What's that? Get the air turned down. I can only figure out how to set it unoccupied. I don't care about unoccupied. Take it out.
Yeah. I don't
All right, spend 5 minutes in my door.
Okay, we'll call our public meeting back, our public hearing back to order at 7:48 PM. So Liz, as you were.
Thank you. I'll wait for, it looks like from what I can see, most folks have filtered back in. I call Robert, Fuson.
Okay, Mr. Fusen, do you swear or affirm that the facts and statements you will provide to the commission are true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
All right, Mr. Fuson, can you tell us what your role within the city of Tioga is? What do you do for the city of Tioga?
I'm currently the police commissioner.
When did you become the police commissioner? Approximately when were you appointed to that office?
About 3 months ago.
Okay. Do you know Cody Hallin?
I do,
You know him as the chief of police, is that right?
yes.
Okay. Mr. Fusen, did you prepare a call log for this hearing?
I did.
How did you prepare? What did you use to prepare your call log? Tell me how you did that.
I took the times of my calls off the log on the phone I have.
Okay. And to the degree that your call log has dates and times and lengths of call, did you take the length of call from your phone as well?
Most often, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Fusen, have you reviewed, I know this is a silly question, but I have to ask you, you've reviewed the Robert Fusen call log that's before the commission right now as an exhibit?
Yes,
Okay. And that's a true and correct copy of the log you prepared?
it is.
And Mr. Sprout, I've transmitted to you that call log, so I'll just note that for the record in advance of the hearing. I move to admit the Robert Fusen's call log.
Okay, I would like to put Robert Fusen's call log on record.
Thank you. Mr. Fusen, can you tell me, the first entry on your call log starts May 4th. Do you see that?
Yes,
That indicates that that's, quote, Cody's first day back from rehabilitation. Do you see that?
yes.
How long had Cody been out of office before May 4th for rehabilitation?
Around 30 days.
Okay, so he was gone from early April until early May?
Yeah, I didn't track that, but yeah, it was around 30 days.
Did you approve that leave?
I did.
Okay, and was that FMLA leave that you approved?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and then the next entry on your call log is May 9th. Do you see that?
Yes,
At 8:56 p.m.?
yes,
It indicates you called Cody Hallin and you two spoke for 29 minutes. Is that right?
yes.
Do you have any recall of what your May 9th call amounted to?
We usually talked about a few things, but I didn't think this was relevant to what we talked about. We usually talk shop and just every day we try to talk and so we all stay on the same page.
Okay, so it was a friendly visit and just kind of a check-in for business?
Yes,
Okay, and then I see there's another call on May 10th at 12:03 p.m. Looks like you called Cody Hallin.
yes,
Two of you spoke for about 20 minutes.
yes.
And was that the same kind of call or was anything different discussed?
No, it was the same call. We talked things over and talked about different things.
Okay. During the May 9th or May 10th call, did Cody express to you that he was having any issues or problems or anything that might impair his ability to work in just a few days?
Not at all.
Okay. Then it looks like you have an entry for May 11th. The time is marked all day. Interaction with Cody Hallin, and it says, I did not call Cody and Cody did not call me. Do you see that?
Yes,
Okay, so you had no contact with Cody whatsoever on May 11th?
negative.
Okay, and
I
so I
know.
imagine Cody didn't convey to you that he was or had or would be missing night shift that evening. Is that a fair understanding?
Yes,
Okay, then I see the next entry is May 12th at 11:15 a.m. It says, called Cody Hallin, he did not answer. And that you remembered he was working the night shift and so he may be sleeping. Is that right?
yes,
Okay, so you assumed actually at about 11 o'clock in the morning on May 12th, Cody had been at work all night on May 11th. Is that correct?
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay. And I apologize for shutting off my video, guys, but it's wobbling and I don't know what's going on with my computer, but I can't see the call log and that at the same time. So I'll try to monkey with that. Okay. But then you have another contact noted on May 12th at 1:43 p.m. and it says Cody Hallin called. Is that right?
Yes,
Tell me about that call. What was discussed between you and Cody on May 12th at 11:43 p.m. for approximately 9 minutes?
Yeah, we talked about 9 minutes and, we talked about going down to Mandan. He was gonna buy a secondhand boat, and me being a boat mechanic, I was gonna go along and make sure everything was all right with it. We talked about making the day out of it. We were gonna try a different restaurant here and there and anyhow, it was just, we had 100% set for next Saturday. We were gonna go and do this, get this boat, and he was approved for his loan and everything, so.
Okay. Okay. So the call at 1:43 p.m. on May 12th, that was kind of a friendly call. You guys were planning kind of a guys' weekend in Mandan on Saturday, the 16th. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes,
At any point during the May 12th, 1:43 p.m. call, did Cody tell you he had missed work on May 11th?
not at all,
Did he tell you had any medical issues?
none,
Did he ask or imply that he may need leave in the immediate future?
no,
Okay. Then it looks like there's another call on May 12th at 5:50 p.m. and it says called Cody Hallin, got no answer. Tell us why were you calling Cody just a few hours later, about 5 hours after your earlier call regarding the boys' weekend?
Well, I assumed he was gonna work the night shift. That's what he said he was gonna do, work the night shift. And I sometimes check in on the guys that change out, so just to keep everything going and see how everything is working and, you know, just to be around. And I
Okay.
didn't get any answer.
Okay. And then what happened after that? About, it looks like 3 minutes later you called someone else. What was the story there?
Oh, I called Zach. He'd been on the day shift. I called Zach to see if he'd heard from Cody, or maybe Cody was driving, and couldn't get on his phone or whatever. But Zach was gonna go away for the weekend to a wedding or something, and he was gonna go off or go on days off. So,
Okay, so you were made aware by Zach that he would be away for the weekend and he would not be available for duty.
yes,
And there's also an annotation in your call log that he had not seen Cody.
yes,
Okay, okay. Then there's another call on May 12th at 6:17 p.m.
yes.
And that was from Cody's mom, is that right?
Yeah, 17 minutes after 6, I got a call from a strange number, and I don't know Cody's mom, but she said she was Cody's mom, and said that Cody was sick and needed help, and her husband was coming from International Falls, Minnesota to Williston to take him to the hospital. And I told her, well, I can get there way before that. I can run right over there and help him, whatever he needs, you know, and I hate to see his dad drive all night just to come and take care of him. Anyway, she said, well, he's on his way and he'll be all right.
Okay. Did that seem odd to you at all?
Yes, absolutely.
Why? I know that's a dumb question, but why did it seem odd to get a call from Cody Hallin's mom? I mean, what was odd about that? Had she ever called you before?
No, not that I can remember, never got a
Okay.
call from her. And yeah,
When you had earlier approved the leave, the approximately 30 days leave for Cody Hallin back in April, did Cody's mom ask you for that leave or did Cody ask you for that leave?
Cody asked me for it.
Okay. All right. Now I want to get back to May 12th. It looks like after you took the call from Cody Hallin's mother, the woman who said she was Cody Hallin's mother, you had a call with Brett at 6:36 p.m. Is that right?
Yes, I was keeping him up to date on what was going on. This was all brand new to me. It just come out of all at once. So I wanted to keep my boss,
Okay.
updated.
Okay. And then at 8:42 PM, on May 12th, it shows that Cody Hallin called. Is that right?
Yes,
You spoke for 12 minutes.
yes.
What did you discuss and how did that call conclude?
Well, we discussed, he, just absolutely could not quit drinking on his own. He needed help. And, I sympathize with that. I told him that, and he said his dad was coming to take him to the hospital. And I said, well, I can come right away and help you. And, if you tell me what you need, tell me where you're at, I'll come and see about you. Anyway, he said, no, he said, everything will work out just fine. I told him, I talked to him just like he was one of my boys. And I said that you've got to quit drinking. That's all there is to it. It's going to ruin your whole life. And he told me that, he realized that, and, we were friends, and that he was gonna call and turn his father around, and he thought it'd be all right, and we'd talk about it in the morning.
Okay. When you were on the phone with Cody, he told you he actually thought he was okay and he was sending his dad back towards Minnesota?
That he was going to, yes.
Okay. And then it looks like there's another call on May 12th at 9 PM, and that was a call to Zach. Is that right?
Yes,
But you got no answer.
right,
And you assume that was probably because he told you he was headed somewhere, right?
right.
Okay. And then there was a call on May 12th, shortly thereafter with Brett. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And you disclosed to Brett the issue of Cody's dad maybe driving 9 hours to come get him, but that Cody had told you that he actually was fine. And that was that call, correct?
yes.
Okay. So you guys assume that there wasn't an issue at that point. Is that fair?
Well, if he could wait that long, it wasn't real serious, I didn't think, you know.
Okay. Yeah. If he could wait the 9-hour drive, you thought it was probably not an emergency.
Right,
And then on May 12th at 9:07, it looks like you got another call from the woman who said she was Cody's mom. Is that correct?
yes.
Talked to her for 2 minutes. What'd she say? How'd that call go?
Was, she was up in arms and said, you quit calling my son and harassing him. And she said that she was a supervisor and that I didn't know who I was dealing with. And that in the morning, she's going to get a lawyer and sue me. So I said, have a good evening, and hung up.
Okay. And then a few minutes later, or actually immediately after that call, it looks like according to time, at 9:11 PM, you called Brett
Yes,
and you conveyed to him the call you had just received from Cody's mother.
I did.
Okay. And then it looks like you and Cody next connected on May 13th, 2026 at 9:22 AM, or I'm sorry, you called him at 9:22 AM.
Yes.
Okay. And he didn't answer.
No, I was in Wendy's office, and no, he didn't answer.
Okay. Why'd you try to call him from Wendy's office on Wednesday, May 13th?
Well, at that time, we didn't know anything about him. We didn't know, I hadn't heard from him or nothing. I was just worried about him, and I was gonna try to find out where he's at, what he's doing.
Okay. And at any point between May 13th and May 17th, did Cody contact you at all?
13th and 17th.
I'm sorry, the
No,
13th. Yep. Okay. And then on
No.
May 17th, you accidentally butt dialed Cody. Is that correct?
yes, I did. Yeah,
And you hung up the call, but he called you back approximately an hour and 15 minutes later at 3:22 PM. Is that right?
yes, it is.
And tell me what Cody said on May 17th.
He's told me that he was in Minnesota. Didn't say where. He was in Minnesota, and he was in the rehabilitation hospital or place or something. And that we talked for a little bit and, I was very concerned when he was coming back, what he was doing, how he was feeling. And he seemed to be in pretty good spirits and stuff. And, yeah, and we talked, for a little bit and then, well, it was about all of it. I copied down what we said, word for word, if you want to hear it.
Okay, did he tell you that he hadn't discussed these matters with anyone but his mother, his father, and his girlfriend, Mariah?
He did.
Is that what he offered you as a basis for not having communicated those matters with you directly?
Yes,
Okay. And did he indicate that whatever he was doing may take as long as 30 days, but he wasn't sure?
yes,
And to be clear, he had just come back from a 30-day leave on May 4th. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. And you don't know exactly when he left, but it was sometime presumably before May 17th when he told you he was in Minnesota. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. Are you, and I expect this will draw an objection and we'll deal with it, Mr. Sprout, that's fine. You can put your objection on the record. Bob, are you familiar with any recent disciplinary matters involving dishonesty on the part of Chief Hallin? I just want you to answer yes or no because I anticipate an objection. Are you aware of anything such
Yes.
as that? Okay. There is written disciplinary decision as to that matter, correct?
Yes,
And the allegation relates to conduct involving dishonesty while on duty with for Chief Hallin on or about March 30th of 2026, correct?
yes,
And the matter was reduced to writing through disciplinary decision. I believe it's April 2nd. Is that right?
yes,
And you've seen the document that's marked for entry into the record dated April 2nd, 2026 and directed to Chief Hallin, memorializing those events. Is that correct?
yes,
And that's a true and correct copy of the records regarding that event. Is that right?
yes.
All right. I'm going to move to admit and anticipate that council may have a few things to say and I might have a few things to put on record.
Just for the council, I'd like to note an objection. I believe this cannot be considered as already discipline that has been doled out to my client. To consider this as part of further discipline is in violation of the law. You can't double dip like this. And the case law establishing that is higher versus the North Dakota Department of Corrections and Rehab.
And I appreciate council's objection and the citation to those cases. I'll just put down for the record that I would agree that if the council was attempting to punish that prior conduct through the course of this proceeding, that would likely be impermissible. But I will refer the council for the record, in case we should have to deal with this a little bit later, to two cases, not only the Hire case, but the Nagel case. And reading those two items together, to my mind, provides that the council may consider background disciplinary matters in reaching conclusions about how new disciplinary treatment involving new offenses might best be prescribed. But I would tell the council that that's the only context within which you can review this disciplinary matter. And with that, I'll move to admit the disciplinary record.
Okay, I'd like to enter the disciplinary record or disciplinary document into record.
Thank you. With that in hand, Mr. Fuson, can you tell us specifically what happened on March 30th that resulted in discipline to Chief Hallin on April 2nd? What happened? What are the events that were at issue?
Yes, we had a problem and the first day I got a key to the police station. And I was told that the squad car the officer was driving wasn't driving it to Williston. It was in the garage at the police station. And Brett and I went over and checked, and there was no car there. There was no private car there. We called Cody and said, hey, the car's not here. There's no cars here. And he said, well, he said he had to transport a prisoner to Williston. And that's why it's not there. And he's on his way back. And we looked all around and there was no private car on the whole block around the police station. So, and just a little bit, he called Brett and he said that he had told me a lie. And we disciplined him for that.
Okay, so to be clear, he was disciplined for a violation of section 6.02-15 standards of conduct, untruthfulness or misrepresentation, including dishonesty about one's conduct or performance during the course of job duties. Is that right?
Yes.
And Cody actually wrote a note in connection with those allegations and submitted it for his disciplinary file on April 2nd, 2026. Is that right?
Yes.
And he admitted to having misrepresented facts about the use of public equipment, right?
Yes.
Its location, correct?
Yes.
About tasks that other officers weren't performing in order to cover for the use, personal use of that city property.
Yes.
Okay. And he indicated, quote, there's no excuse for my actions. Is that right?
He did.
Okay. And stated that he would be more transparent and accountable moving forward. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you become aware, Bob, through the course of the week of May 11th, that Cody had misrepresented any facts to you during your communications? Specifically about whether or not he was at work?
Oh, yeah, he never mentioned it to me, period.
That he had been absent on May 11th?
Yeah, I didn't hear about it until I got over to the Wendy's office.
Okay. I don't think I have anything further for Bob at this time. I'll pass to the commission.
Bob, I have one question. Did Cody's dad ever call you at all, or is it just his mother?
Just his mother.
Thank you.
Bob, is this call log that we went through, is that your communications with everybody at the city of Tioga? Is that everybody?
No, not everybody. I took out.
Just what pertains to
Right.
the issue?
Right.
Mr. Fusion, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can.
I want to talk about the calls from May 12th. So Cody's mom called you on May 12th and informed you he was sick and needed help. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And then again on May 12th, around 8:42 p.m., you had a conversation with Cody where he discussed his struggles with alcohol. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
And during that phone call, did he mention needing to take time off to address his alcohol issue?
He said his dad was coming to get him.
And what did you take that to mean? Where was his dad going to take him?
Well, I was worried about his health. I didn't ask any questions.
Yeah. So you're worried about his health. Did you think he was going to a hospital or a treatment center?
I didn't know.
And did Cody ever tell you he was going to the hospital?
I can't remember if he did or not, but I don't think so.
Okay. But it's possible he did.
Could have been. We talked a little bit about everything.
Sure. And you and Cody had conversations that would You guys were friendly, is that accurate?
Absolutely, yes.
So, 1 second you're talking about fishing, the next second he's kind of opening up about his personal struggles. Would that be accurate?
Not quite.
Yeah. What's
We
inaccurate?
never talked about his personal struggles. We usually just visited about guy stuff, fishing, hunting.
But on May 12th, he discussed his drinking issue with you. That's accurate, correct?
He said he couldn't quit drinking.
Sure. Did he say he needed help?
Yes, he did.
And you were aware he previously sought help for drinking? Would that be correct?
I'm sorry.
And you were aware that he had previously sought help for drinking?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Yep.
Very brief redirect. At the conclusion of your calls with Cody on May 12th, Bob, did he represent to you that he was okay and that he was going to turn his dad around?
Yes, that's the advice I gave him, and he said he was gonna turn his dad around. There's no sense of having him drive all night.
Okay.
And he would be fine.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right.
Are we ready for our, I think, our final witness for the city's case in chief? We reserve all witnesses for rebuttal, but I call Brett Renitz.
Brett, do you swear or affirm that the facts and statements you'll provide to the commission are true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief under pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, I know we talked about this, Mr. Sprout. I'm gonna ask that Brett just give his understanding of events in narrative form, unless he would like me to guide the testimony, but I'm aware of what Brett's aware of, so I would just call upon Brett to tell us, first of all, what he knows and what he didn't know about the week of May 11th regarding Chief of Police Hallin and his performance or lack thereof while on duty.
And I have no issue with that as long as I have an opportunity for cross.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Brett.
Okay, well, in summary, I guess the last time I've spoken with Cody was May 11th, Monday morning, that would be. Wendy had sent Cody an email about some timekeeping corrections that needed to be made. At the same time, I mean, time card approvals were due, and I was in approving Cody's time card. And I noticed that his working hours were just they were really relaxed. And so I reached out to him and I told him as much. I texted him at 9:17. I said I was approving his timesheets and there needed to come to work at a decent time because he had more relaxed hours than a banker. There's a little bit of confusion about what I meant by that, because he thought that I was telling him like, hey, you need to get your time cards approved. He said he had already done that. I said, no, I'm talking about your time card. So we need to create some structure in that department, and you showing up at a steady time, a consistent time would go a long way. He said on 2 occasions in just a couple messages that he was working the night shift that night, and that's the last I talked to him.
Did you, Brett, participate in any follow-up investigations, inquiries, or communications through City Hall when you became aware that he had not worked on the evening of May 11th?
Yeah, so we were actually in Minneapolis doing some doctoring for our son, and we were just, I'd say, just east of Bismarck, and Bob had called while I was driving, so I wasn't going to pick up the phone and talk to him. I ended up, he called again. I ended up taking that call, and we basically were just talking about like our son and the appointments and stuff like that. And there was there was a concern because Bob had told me that Cody's
We lost
mom.
sound for a minute. I apologize, Brett. Was that a pause from you or was that a pause in the
That was a
volume?
very long pause for me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, no, that's okay. I just want to
Um,
make sure I'm not missing anything.
No, it's just tough. Bob had told me that he got a call from Cody's mom, and she said that he was sick, and his dad was coming to take him to the hospital. And again, I'm driving from Minneapolis back, so I'm trying to like, what does that mean? Why is somebody coming from 10 hours away to take someone to the hospital? I said, well, what's going on? Like, what's actually going on? He's like, I don't know. I haven't talked to Cody. I tried calling him before his shift started, didn't hear nothing. I got a call from Cody's mom. She's saying he's sick and his dad is coming to take him to the hospital. And, I'm sitting here talking with Bob about this and I start realizing like it can't be an emergency. There's just no way it would be an emergency if he's coming from that far away. So we kind of left it at that. We finished our drive. We got home. I realized that our fridge was not working. I was actually talking to Bob about what he thought was wrong with my fridge, and actually I sent him a picture of a big old dust bunny covering up the coils, and he ended up saying that he talked to Cody, and he said, I think we've got a problem there with our chief again. He's struggling right now. And I said, so it's not an emergency. We know that for a fact. He said, it's not an emergency. I promise. And he said he talked to Cody for quite a while about how he's just got to stop drinking if he wants to be a good police officer and police chief. You can't be drinking and be a police chief at the same time. He had told me that everything was fine. He told him to just sleep it off. We'd talk about it in the morning. And then that's how their conversation ended from what I was told. And mine and Bob's conversation ended with him, kind of breaking down. He said, I care about this guy like the son. I told him, like, these are the things that can happen when you drink. And he goes, I can't handle losing my Cody, is what he said. He says, we're like family, we're like brothers. And then that's how that conversation ended. I called Wendy Wednesday morning. She said that Bob was in her office with her. I said, great. Put him on speakerphone. She put him on speakerphone. I asked him if he had heard from Cody, what was going on. And he said, actually, that's why I'm down here right now. I have yet to hear from Cody. I don't know what's going on. And I said, well, we need to reach out to him and make contact. Like, I need to know he's okay. Like, everybody knows Cody's my guy. We're close. So Bob said, okay, well, I'll call him right now. And I said, well, I want to hear the phone ring. I want to hear his voice and make sure he's okay. Bob called him. No answer. Shortly thereafter, Nick and Darcy came into Wendy's office and I remained on the phone. I mean, I was on speakerphone. We even let them know that I was on the other line. And they were asking for credentials for, I forget the name of the software that you guys say, Lab Tech. Yep. And yeah, I mean, they came over to get credentials so they could take over some of Cody's duties. And I asked them if they had heard from Cody. They said no. Darcy had mentioned that she had no idea what was going on. She could assume that maybe she knows, but she wouldn't do that because she doesn't know. That was about the end of that conversation.
So to be clear, that conversation, that series of calls that you participated in and were present for, those were all on Wednesday, the 12th, right? Or I'm sorry.
The call to Wendy on speakerphone with Bob, also while Nick and Darcy came into Wendy's office. So it was the four of us, well, I guess five, talking. That was all on Wednesday.
The Wednesday, the 13th. I'm sorry, I messed up days. That's the day we're talking about, yes?
Yes.
So,
It was the day after the night Bob talked to Cody.
okay. And Darcy represented to you that she had not heard from Cody at all during
Correct.
that session.
Darcy and Nick had both not heard from Cody. I shouldn't say that. Nick did hear from Cody, I believe. And that's why I was asking the question to Corey. I believe Nick told us that Cody had called Nick to cover a call because he couldn't. Nick said he couldn't either, so he called Corey. But I might have that mistaken after. That's just what I remember hearing Nick tell us.
Okay. And they were collecting credentials for some program?
Correct.
Did they mention why they didn't just get those credentials from Cody?
No. No,
Okay.
they both came over together to City Hall to talk to Wendy about it.
Okay. Did you understand, though, that they weren't able to get those credentials from Cody?
Actually, it didn't cross my mind.
Okay.
I don't
Tell us.
know if they requested it from Cody and he just didn't reach out, or I don't know what was going on.
Okay. But the representation was they didn't know what was going on either.
Correct.
Okay. Were you made aware later that day that Wendy and Nick Oster had done some follow-up with footage and calls to dispatch?
I'm very aware.
What information was conveyed to you, Brett, about that follow-up inquiry through Wendy and Nick Oster?
The information conveyed to me was that there was no activity at the police department all of Monday night and into Tuesday morning. No activity at the PD or in the shop. And then I was also made aware that they made a phone call to dispatch just to check, like, if badge number 1135 was either on call or put on shift, and they were told no.
Okay. Were you also made aware on I think you've already answered this, but to be clear, the issue of trying to have Tioga PD respond to the bad accident that was earlier referenced in testimony?
Yes, I am. And that's where I'm under the understanding, just from my recollection, that Cody had called Nick to cover the call. He said he couldn't cover it. Nick told him that he couldn't either, and then Nick called Corey to cover the call. Corey responded, but then was turned around, and then Nick put him on call for the rest of the night.
Okay, that was the information that you received from Nick and or Darcy on Wednesday, May 13th.
That's just my recollection of it.
Okay. Was this concerning to you?
Well, very. I drove by the accident on our way back from Minneapolis.
Okay.
It was awful. And then to think that we had nobody that could have responded to that, that was unreal.
Okay. Was it concerning to you that no one at least was representing to you that they had any idea of what was going on with Cody Hallin?
That was probably my chief concern in the whole thing, was that it wasn't just the commissioners or Wendy, city auditor. It seemed as though, just from what they were telling us, nobody was aware of what was going on.
Okay. You have still not heard from Cody Hallin, is that right?
I haven't.
Okay, you haven't heard from him as of May 12th, May 13th, May 14th, May 15th, 16th, 17th, all the days between the 12th and today, correct?
Yeah, the last time I spoke with Cody was via text message Monday morning, the 11th.
Okay. When you spoke to him on the morning of Monday, May 11th, did he imply that he would be seeking any leave?
No, he didn't. The only thing he implied was that he had to work the night shift that night because there was no coverage.
Okay. And then you later learned that in fact he didn't work the night shift that night, correct?
Correct.
You also learned that he punched in that evening remotely at 8:18 p.m. and forgot to punch out. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that concerning to you?
Very.
Why?
Well, we like to think we know where our people are at, for one. It's concerning because we've had a number of timekeeping issues as of late, and there's been a number of different uncomfortable conversations as of late about timekeeping accuracy. So I thought it was rather odd that this was something coming from Cody's front.
Okay. Was there any concern about dishonesty in respect to the punching in, failure to clock out, and representation that he actually had just forgotten to clock out at 4 a.m.? Any concerns on that front?
Not at the time. It wasn't until we learned that there was nobody at the PD that I got very much so concerned.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, the concern is that something was misrepresented again in concurring months.
How so? Tell us about that. Why do you say misrepresented again? A new representation. What's the story there?
Well, the previous month, as Bob alluded to, totally different scenario, totally different situation. But the core behind it was like and kind. And I can run you through, I mean, pretty detailed on what that is, if that's allowed.
Yeah, I would like you to tell us the exhibits in the record. I would like to understand what the prior concern was and how it is like and kind to the new event. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so as Bob was saying, on or around March 30th, he was speaking with one of the patrol officers, and he was telling him that, you know, I'm the only officer that takes my personal vehicle to and from work. I'm the only one that doesn't commute with the patrol car. And I was telling Bob, I said, you know, that's kind of weird because I split time in an office in Williston. And I multiple times say I leave the office at 5, I will I will see a Tioga PD patrol car getting on Highway 2 heading north. Well, I'm pretty keen on all of our people's faces and the vehicles they drive. I know X amount of people drive black cars, X amount of people drive cars with white doors. And I was telling Bob, I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. I think everybody drives their vehicle home. I wasn't aware that they had rules set up that this one patrol officer wasn't allowed to take his vehicle for commuting purposes. So anyway, later that night, after Bob was telling me this, I was pulling into town, out at the first street light, and I seen this particular officer leaving, which that would little after 6 o'clock. And so I figured, well, there were shift change, and there's this guy who's driving the TV vehicle back to Williston. And I was like, okay, something's weird. So I called Bob and I said, well, Bob, you know, that situation we talked about the other day, I just seen it. I seen it in live form. So Bob called Cody. Cody said, no, he didn't see this officer. He saw me. I was just leaving at the same time. Actually, I saw Jaden too. I passed him on the road. I said, no, Bob, You're not being told the truth because I know faces and I know our cars, and that was not Cody. Bob ended up calling Cody and saying, hey, look, what's going on? Brett's pretty darn certain that he saw that officer's car. He said, well, no, he couldn't have because Zach's car would be in the shop. Zach does not drive his police car home. It's sitting in the shop. And I said, well, Bob, I know what I'm feeling right now. There's only one thing to do is let's go down to the PD. Let's take a look in the shop. So Bob and I went down to the PD. We went straight back to the shop. The only vehicle there was a black F-150 and a side-by-side, both police vehicles. I'm starting to get upset now because I can see the dishonesty playing out, and I'm seeing it. So I told Bob, I said, you need to call Cody and you need to ask him what's going on very firmly, and you need to put it on speakerphone so I can hear every word. So he did that. Cody told Bob that, well, yeah, the reason why that vehicle's not in the shop is because he's actually transporting a detainee up to jail in Williston right now. I was like, well, okay, there we go. That checks out, you know, I seen the guy leaving town, headed towards Williston. Absolutely checks out. And he told him, he said, when he's done dropping him off, he will turn around, come back to Tioga, grab his personal vehicle and head home. Well, I was telling Bob, I said, that don't make any sense. He's already in Williston. Just let him take his squad car home. It's not like he hasn't done it before. It's not a big deal. He doesn't need to be driving extra miles just for the principle of having his personal vehicle at his house or leaving the PD vehicle at the PD. So I told Bob, I said, just go ahead and call Zach, tell him, stand down, just take your squad car home. Life will be good. As we're leaving the PD, I'm headed towards my house. I'm driving west, and I look, and there's not a single vehicle in the parking lot, period. There was no personal vehicles to pick up. So I called Bob. I said, look, something's wrong here. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to call Cody myself, and I'm going to find out. I called Cody, and I asked him. I'm sure I sounded very frustrated because I just could not figure out what was going on, and it seemed so simple, and to be confused over something so simple was just weird. And he said, look, I was just talking to my girlfriend about this and telling her that I have to come clean to you. I lied to you. I said, what point? What part? What part did you lie about besides the vehicle? He said, I lied about everything. I said, see, you didn't arrest anybody and we're hauling them up to jail? He said, no, I made the whole thing up. I said, okay, here's the deal. Number one, I'm upset now. This is just, I can't even imagine what would run through someone's mind to make them manufacture such a far-fetched and wild lie. I said, but to do it to Bob first. I mean, Bob's just there to help you. He's there to solve solutions. Like it blows my mind that we would be here. And he said, yep, I need to call Bob and tell him too. I said, actually, you're not going to, because I don't trust that you're going to tell him the true story. So I'm going to call Bob. I'm going to tell him everything that you just told me. I will text you back and give you the green light to tell Bob everything that happened. And then I'll be checking just to make sure that that story was true. That was on the 30th. And I mean, that night, me and Cody, we exchanged text messages between 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. I would say at minimum, I was firm but fair with him, but I just explained to him, like, this is just, it's egregious. It's unbelievable. To conjure something like that up for no reward. Like, I don't even know what you guys are trying to protect. It doesn't make sense. So anyway, I talked to Bob. I was upset. There's no two ways around it. I was upset that the highest ranking police official in our town would tell me something like that for no reason. Again, I was very upset. I asked Bob what he wanted to do, and I told him what I wanted to do. At that point in time, I just did not feel like the guy was trustworthy, and I wasn't gonna trust him again, and I wanted to escalate it as far as I needed to, because if you can lie about that, what aren't you gonna lie about? And Bob said, look, the brakes, Cody's our guy, just sleep on it, okay? If you still want your pound of flesh, you just let me know, but sleep on it, okay? And I did that. I mean, I took his advice. But I told him, I said, this can't go untouched. Something like this, it needs to be put in writing on paper as it has to. I mean, to lie about official PD business, saying that you're hauling a criminal to jail when there was actually nobody at all, that warrants a write-up. So I got with Bob. I got with Cody. I told him I wanted to meet up on April 2nd. I sat them down. And I straight up told Cody, I said, you had best be thanking your lucky stars, because if it wasn't for Bob sitting here right now, I was ready to advance us to the goal line, and I mean immediately. We were gonna sever our working relationship completely, immediately. And I said, I just don't understand. Like, you're my guy. Like, I see potential galore in you. I know it's there. When we were in the interviewing process, we talked about ethics and character and integrity and all the things that matter about a chief of police. Like, were you lying to me about that too? I don't know. But what I do know is this is it. This is your last warning. We have any acts of anything regarding this type of nature, we're advancing it to the goal line. I promise you that. And we talked quite a bit about, just expectations, mostly how disappointed I was. Even a little bit about how hurt I was. Like I said, Cody's my guy. I recommended that we appoint him as interim chief. I got a lot of grief from that, actually from people in this room tonight. They did not agree with that, but I was firm on it. I recommended it. Obviously, I don't get to make the motions. I don't get to decide that. I was the one that recommended that he would be the chief of police. I got a lot of grief about that, even from people in this room. Anywho, just very, very let down. The facts of the write-up were revolved around untruthfulness, misrepresentation, violating our employee handbook in that regard.
Okay. With that in hand, Brett, and that background, and I appreciate it. Is there anything that occurred during the week of May 11th that you came to learn to be deceptive in nature? And if so, how?
Well, it was the clocking in for work, but not actually being at work. That's deceptive. Yeah, that is absolutely deceptive. That is a misrepresentation and untruthfulness.
In connection with his duties, correct?
Connection with his duties.
And he'd been warned against that quite recently, correct?
With the firmest of stern warnings that one guy could give another.
Okay. Why do you think honesty is so important in a chief of police?
Well, I think honesty is important in everybody, but I mean, everything the chief of police does it's on record. The chief of police has, I would say, I mean, arguably the hardest job in the city. I feel like they've got the most responsibility. They're tasked with keeping our community safe. And that's a huge task. So you've got to be honest along the way. You just have to be.
If you, do you think that the lack of honesty impairs a leader's ability to lead?
Yeah, I don't really understand the question. I can't imagine a world where a dishonest leader could be an effective leader.
That's what I'm
You
asking.
you kind of lose all credibility, and if you don't have credibility, how can you get buy-in from your team? How can you get buy-in from the community? If your credibility's shot because of dishonesty, you can't lead effectively.
Okay. I also want to walk you back. I know that we're changing gears a little bit, but I want to make sure that I understand these timelines. So we had the event on March 30th. Then we had the discipline, the written discipline and acknowledgement of discipline on April 2nd, where Cody received, in your words, the sternest of stern warnings. And then on Bob's call log, there's an entry that May 4th is his first day back at rehabilitation. So I want to ask you, were you aware of the leave that occurred in April and into early May?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was the first one to be made aware.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
So it was a few days, April 6th. So the write-up happened April 2nd. Cody texted me April 6th and asked if I could call him. I called him back. He told me the reason that he had been lying to Bob and me, and it was because he said the reason he was lying to Bob and me is because he needed help. He was suffering from a dependency, and he needed to seek help. Do you want me to elaborate? Do I need to elaborate?
Well, I mean, the medical records have been waived. We noted that at the beginning, and I don't want you to, I want to have an understanding that, I guess, was the city supportive of that? Did you authorize leave? What happened?
Actually, I think probably Cody will attest to it. The first words out of my mouth when Cody told me that he needed help and he found a place to give him help was, "I'm so proud of you, man. Let's make it happen." I had told him that I was worried of this sort of thing just from previous conversations with him in the evening. Didn't press the issue, didn't ask any questions. I kind of had some concerns, but they weren't my concerns until they affect work. He had told me that he found a facility that was going to get him help. I told him we were going to support him 1,000%, no matter what it took. You just let us know what we can do for you to make it as easy as possible. I did tell him, I said, once you figure out for sure where you're going to go, because there was a couple different facilities that he was going to go to. First, he said he was going to catch a flight to a Hazeldean facility. And then he ended up landing somewhere in California. But anyway, he asked for help, and I was super proud of him, and I was going to move mountains to make sure he got what he needed. Like I said, he's my friend, he's my pick, that's my guy.
Okay. In that, he had directly disclosed to you the issue, and you were supportive of the leave.
Not only supportive, I was proud of him for asking, and I was proud of us for being able to help.
So after he returned on May 4th, did you have any communications with him to ensure that he was in good working order, or how did that go?
Yeah, actually I did. I'm gonna look at my calendar. Hang with me here. So he called me, it was Friday, May 1st. He said, hey, I'm back in Williston. I said, okay, we got our chief back, huh? He goes, yep, I'll be there Monday. I said, okay, one more thing. You've been gone for more than 3 days, so we just need to make sure you have a doctor's note, okay? He said, not a problem. I was aware that he acquired a doctor's note from a facility in Williston. And yeah, he was back to work Monday. And he got straight to work. Like I said, he had some departmental issues that he had to unfortunately deal with right away when he got back to work, and I helped him along with that.
Okay. So he was aware of the process. He had been approved for similar leave in the past, and he had communicated all of that with you directly in April. And that went
Oh,
off
yeah.
without a hitch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. I know this is a weird question, but in the April situation, did Cody Halline's mom call you?
No,
Okay. Would you have considered, I mean, had any employee's mom called you and I guess demanded that type of situation or had the conversation that Bob recounted, would you treat that as a fair basis for leave?
well, to be perfectly honest, if a parent or a spouse or anybody tried calling me about anything, unless it was like a life and death emergency, I wouldn't even entertain a conversation with them. It's not fair of me to talk about other people's business with somebody other than them.
Okay, that's policy, isn't it? That's protected information that you can't disclose without a release, like the one we secured this evening. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Brett, if you have anything else that you think is pertinent to the hearing, I'll just ask that you offer it. Then I'll allow the commission to ask you any questions they have, and then we'll pass to Mr. Sprout.
No, not as far as like finding a fax goes.
Okay, and that's fair. Thank you for clarifying that. There'll be other discussion about, other things when the evidence concludes and we move through hearing, but okay, we'll pass to the commission and then pass to Mr. Sprout.
Okay, Mr. Sprout, nobody wants to talk to me.
Well, I've got a couple things for you, Brett. So you said the last time you spoke with Cody was May 11th,
Correct.
correct? And that was by text message or phone or both?
That was by text message.
Okay. And you guys talked about kind of some relaxed hours, Monday night. Is that accurate?
Yes. Or
And-
wait. Let me hear you say that one more time.
And you talked about his relaxed hours sometime Monday night.
No, I talked about his